Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Let's dive into a familiar and all too common experience that every crypto investor has likely faced at one point or another. You stumble across a coin that seems incredibly promising. Maybe someone mentions it in a tweet or on a YouTube video, or perhaps it's blowing up in the comment sections. Everyone appears wildly bullish, hyped up, convinced that this is the god, next 100x. Caught up in the enthusiasm, you go ahead and buy in, often without doing a deep dive or checking the charts. You're swept away by the optimism and the fear of missing out. But then, just like that, the coin begins to crash. Red candles take over the chart. Your portfolio shrinks. And now you're caught in that panicky space. Do you sell? Do you double down and buy the dip? Do you hold and hope for the best? It's a nauseating, confusing moment, and if you're new to the crypto space, it can be a brutal wake-up call. This content is for informational and educational purposes only and does not constitute financial, investment, or trading advice. Always do your own research, DYOR, and consult with a qualified financial advisor before making any investment decisions. The cryptocurrency market is highly volatile and involves significant risk. The views expressed in this video are solely those of the creator and do not reflect the opinions or endorsements of any project mentioned. We've all been there. No shame in it. Even the most seasoned traders have made decisions driven by emotion or community hype. A perfect example came up recently when I noticed a comment from someone who bought ZBCN at its peak and mentioned that it's been nothing but downhill since they invested. Curious, I checked the chart. ZBCN is down less than 50% from its all-time highs, which tells me this person most likely bought at or near the top. And that right there is one of the golden rules of investing. Timing your entry matters just as much as choosing the right asset. This is precisely why I continuously talk about entry points in my videos. Especially with coins like ZBCN, I make it a point to share where I personally would look to buy the dip based on market structure and technical indicators. I'm not always right to the decimal, but I aim to give you guys realistic expectations. Consistently buying dips instead of chasing pumps will put you in a much stronger position over time. Investing is a game of probabilities and averages, not perfection. Taking a step back to look at the broader market sentiment, we see that the Fear and Greed Index is currently sitting at 54. Smack in the middle, a neutral reading. This reflects a market that is neither overly fearful nor overly greedy, suggesting indecision or waiting for a catalyst. Meanwhile, Bitcoin is trading at around $103,800. Now that sounds decent on the surface, but there's something crucial to keep an eye on, the $100,000 level. Earlier this month, around June 5th, Bitcoin came close to breaching it. And if Bitcoin ever decisively breaks below the $100K mark, it could trigger panic across the altcoin market. Historically, Bitcoin's performance acts like a gravitational force for the entire crypto ecosystem. When BTC dips hard, altcoins tend to suffer even more severely. If Bitcoin does slide below that psychological 100K threshold, we could be looking at a short-term bloodbath, especially for riskier altcoins. People will start panic selling not just Bitcoin but everything they hold, including promising projects like ZBCN. So it's vital to understand that altcoins often follow Bitcoin's lead, not because they're weak fundamentally, but because of how capital moves in the crypto market during volatility. Speaking of ZBCN, let's talk about what the team has been up to. Just a few hours ago, ZBCN posted an interesting update on their X, formerly Twitter account, saying, ZBCN is building programmable money. Knox is building programmable trust. It's a perfect fit. That quote was attributed to the founder of Knox in a recent video. This type of messaging isn't just empty PR. It signals collaboration and shared vision. Partnerships like this can be early indicators of meaningful development and eventually price movement. We've seen it time and time again where one strong partnership helps drive a token's narrative and investment interest. Turning to the current numbers, ZBCN is trading at 3.998. It's down about 2% on the day and over 8% for the week. However, on the monthly scale, the picture looks far better, up more than 72%. So while the short-term action might look disappointing to those who entered at higher levels, the longer view still shows strength. Anyone who's been holding for more than a month is likely in the green, and that's a crucial reminder of why zooming out matters. Let's look at the volume too. In the past 24 hours, ZBCN has seen about 13.5 million in trading volume, which is down by roughly 36%. That's quite a drop, and while it might seem alarming, it has to be taken in context. Volume always precedes price action, and in slower market conditions, it's not unusual to see lower volume across the board. This doesn't necessarily spell disaster. If anything, it's a reminder to watch closely. Price typically follows volume, so a sudden spike in trading activity can foreshadow a breakout or breakdown. But let's not lose sight of what really matters here: conviction. If you've done your research and you believe in a project's fundamentals, then short-term pullbacks shouldn't shake your confidence. And if community sentiment is anything to go by, people are still extremely bullish on ZBCN. Just looking through the recent community posts, another 150,000 ZBCN added to my bag. Still loading up, this is a buyer's market. ZBCN train is packed and leaving the station. These are fresh comments, all from within the last several hours. That kind of enthusiasm doesn't exist in a vacuum. It comes from a place of belief and often experience. Many in the community have likely seen these kinds of corrections before and are using them as opportunities to accumulate. Now, let's look at the technical side of things. Since June 10th, ZBCN has been in a sideways trading range. No explosive pumps, no catastrophic crashes, just steady horizontal movement. This kind of price action might seem boring to some, but seasoned investors recognize it as something valuable: consolidation. After a strong move up, consolidation is how the market catches its breath and builds support for the next leg higher. It's like a slingshot being pulled back, storing energy before release. Earlier, ZBCN formed a double top, a pattern that often precedes a short-term correction. I mentioned this in previous videos, suggesting that we might see a retracement to the 3.3 area. While it didn't dip quite that low, it did reach around 0.37. That's close enough for us to consider that range as a relevant accumulation zone. Again, the point here isn't to say I called it, but to demonstrate that chart analysis and historical behavior can offer reliable guidance, especially for newer traders. That's why I try to be as transparent and balanced as possible with all of you. I know some people may watch these videos and jump into ZBCN based on my optimism, but please, don't just listen to the tone. Look at the context, look at the levels, know what you're buying and when you're buying it. I want you to succeed. And success comes from informed decisions, not emotional reactions. Even now, as we speak, ZBCN remains within that sideways range. Following the last token unlock event, which usually brings some selling pressure, ZBCN bounced back in an impressive fashion. It dropped to around 3.7 and then surged back to 5.1. That's a substantial move. It tells us that buyers were waiting on the sidelines, prepared to jump in once the selling was done. These post-unlock rallies are healthy signs that the project has backing beyond just short-term speculators. Yes, the price has pulled back again. But let's be very clear, this isn't because ZBCN has failed or lost its way. It's a reflection of the entire market turning cautious due to broader macro concerns like war tensions and economic uncertainty. During times like these, even the best coins can take a hit, simply because capital gets more conservative. However, what stands out about ZBCN is how it has held firm around the 3.7 mark. While many altcoins have cracked through key support levels, ZBCN has shown resilience. That indicates there is real accumulation happening at these levels. Smart money is quietly buying. That kind of price stability, even during turbulence, is something you cannot ignore. It's a clue that long-term players see value here and are building positions. If this support holds, ZBCN is in a great position to stage another run, especially once volume starts to return and Bitcoin stabilizes. But of course, if this level fails, we'll need to reassess. No chart pattern or level is infallible. We stay agile, informed, and disciplined. So where do we go from here? Well, the short term might continue to see some sideways action. That's okay, it builds structure. What we really want to watch for is the next uptick in volume combined with broader market stability. That's when ZBCN could start climbing again. What excites me the most, though, is the real-world vision ZBCN is building toward. Programmable money, real integrations, partnerships like the one with Knox. These aren't just buzzwords, they're foundational developments. They show that ZBCN isn't just riding the hype wave. They're building something tangible, and in a market that often rewards flash over substance, that matters. So to wrap things up, don't let hype dictate your entry. Always check the charts, follow volume and support levels, understand the macro environment, and trust your research over emotions. Alright guys, that's it for today's video. If you found any of this helpful, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Smash that notification bell so you stay in the loop. The crypto journey is a wild ride, but with the right tools and mindset, you can navigate it like a pro. Until next time, stay smart, stay patient, and above all, stay bullish.